So, Kanye West was at TMZ yesterday. First of all, I'm Van Lathan. Welcome to the Red Pill Podcast. We are going to talk to Daymond John in just a second about all types of different things. We're going to talk to Daymond John about how he built his fortune, about branding, marketing, about financial literacy, how we increase it in our neighborhoods, his journey, and how he was beating when he was doing his thing at his biggest, what life was like to go from sort of being a struggling, hustling entrepreneur to having one of the defining brands in hip-hop fashion. We're going to talk to Daymond about that in a second, but obviously I have to address the fact that Kanye West came to TMZ yesterday and talked to Harvey on TMZ Live. I did not have any contact with Ye yesterday. We didn't talk at all. He came here, they did the interview outside, and then he proceeded to shoot a music video in a ditch outside there at the TMZ office. I am as baffled by what's going on with Kanye as anybody else, obviously. I'm probably going to be linked to him for the rest of my career, being that there was a lot of attention to what happened, the exchange between him and I on TMZ Live earlier this year. But I have to say this. As baffled as I am about what's going on with Kanye, I am no longer intrigued. I am no longer invested. I am no longer interested. And what I am wondering is why the rest of us are. This is not a call for a boycott. Kanye West makes great shoes. He makes music that people like. Still, I haven't heard some of the new stuff. So there's no reason not to support art and culture that you like, unless it makes you feel bad to do it. Anyone who says that they can't support the music of someone who wears a Make America Great Again hat, I get that. I completely understand that. But anybody else who doesn't, I'm not going to call you a sellout or Uncle Tom or anything like that because you got a pair of shoes on or because you're listening to somebody's music. I personally don't understand why Kanye wants to change the definition of something that's pretty securely defined. I don't get his need and willingness to step out on issues that he doesn't seem as if he's quite considered or parsed out, and say things and then have to clarify them and then have to sort of run around and do different media stops on him. I don't know why he won't just take his time, draw his bow, fire and hit his target. I don't know why he has to be so scattershot. But what I do know is that none of it seems to be substantive for us. None of it seems to be anything that works for us. I'm going to attempt over the next couple of weeks to have GLC, one of Kanye's cohorts, call up and talk to me. But none of this stuff seems like it does anything for us but upset us. And I'm wondering why we won't change the channel. Ye came up here, talked about a lot of different things, but there was nothing to make me go, that's it. I see. Okay, cool. All right, now it makes sense why he would be triggering us. Now it makes sense why he would be wearing a hat. Now it makes sense why he would be standing next to certain people. Now it makes sense. Oh, I get it. All right, cool, Kanye, go ahead. What he said about the 13th Amendment is not materially false. When he said he wanted to abolish the 13th Amendment, that wasn't what he meant to say. What he meant to say was he wanted to amend the 13th Amendment and directly address the exception clause in it that says that forced work can be put on an American citizen if they have been imprisoned, and sort of the historical implications of that exception clause and what it's meant to black and brown people. Get that. The question is, when are we going to get Kanye West to say it right the first time? When are we going to stop letting him and his misinformation or the fact that he's not speaking clearly or thoughtfully or truthfully the first time? When are we going to stop letting that bother us? Like, why are we still so invested when it's obvious that he's not the same guy? As to the hat, a lot of times when we meet people, new people, we shake hands and we dap up. Shake somebody's hand. Hey, come over there. You shake their hand. You dap them up. The handshake comes from a custom, so I've been told, of opening your hand to someone else to show that there's no weapon in your hand. So when you meet somebody and you want to make a connection with them, the first thing that you need to do, or the first thing that they did do back in the day, was to open up their hand and say, listen, I'm meeting you. I mean you no harm. I mean you zero harm. Here's my open hand. Give me your open hand. We'll touch hands. No one's holding a weapon. There's nothing sort of that's hidden that's going to hurt you. It's difficult to talk to someone and receive information from someone who you know has a weapon, who you know has something that is hurting you, that is meant to hurt you, and that has been used to hurt you. And that's what that hat is. That hat is not an open hand. It's a weaponized element of hate that has been around since Donald Trump has made his ascension to the presidency. It's been used to reflect the views and the agenda of the Trump administration, which has pushed the political discourse in this country backwards, which has pushed the civility in this country backwards, not just to people of color, to women, to disabled people, the transgender community, and pretty much anyone else who America wasn't great for in the past. The slogan, Make America Great Again, harkens back to a time when Americans didn't have to consider complex issues like gay and lesbian rights, like prison reform, like police brutality, because things were homogenous for those who had power. Everyone that was in power looked exactly the same. Everyone who could get along in society looked and felt exactly the same. So because of that, the country was great for a select few people. That's not to say that we haven't had great times in the past as black people. To me personally, I think prior to integration, we maybe had more functioning societies. We maybe had more functioning communities. If you give black people an opportunity and let them breathe, they're always going to find a way to be great, no matter what the circumstance and the situation is. It's just who we are. But America hasn't been great for us. So there's no way that we can make America great again. There's nothing that we can go back to make this country great. If America is to be great for African Americans, it would be great in the future. It would be great at some time after this, to where we've dealt with systemic inequalities, to where we've dealt with the economic gaps that we see, the educational gaps that we see, the treatment of our women, sometimes by our own men. Okay, if America is going to be great for black people, it's going to take black people and brown people and other minorities seriously and in a real smart, intelligent, vigorous way, attacking these issues for themselves, by themselves, and then demanding that other communities meet the standard that we set. That is what will make America great in the future. Donald Trump is not going to make America great for us or make America great, period. Neither are any of the people that are following him down the primrose path to a new civil war. And if Kanye West can't accept and understand why that hat is symbolic of that and so destructive to the rest of us, I don't see why we keep trying to explain it to him. Let him wear it. Let him do his thing. I'm telling everyone right now that can hear my voice, you don't have to hate Kanye West. You don't have to despise Kanye West. You don't have to be triggered by Kanye West. You don't have to be disappointed by Kanye West. But you also don't have to care about Kanye West. There is nothing that says you have to care. Nothing. It's very possible that the guy that we all knew is gone. It's very possible he's still there. But what you don't have to do is keep searching for that answer. You don't owe it to anyone. If Ye is going to do beautiful things up there in Chicago, let him do it. More power to him. A lot of people say that he's very serious. A lot of people who I trust say that he's very serious. Let him do that work. Let it bear some fruit. But for now, everybody, pause, change the station. All right, now, that's enough of me on my soapbox. Daymond John, Shark Tank, Fubu, Rich Dude. Pop some pills. Let's get into it. All right, yo, white people, clap for Daymond John real quick, man.
That's how it's starting, like that?
Before every podcast, we make the white people clap.
All right.
And we especially do so when we have legends in the house, man.
Well, thank you, brother.
Brother, it is a pleasure to meet you, man.
Well, thank you, man. I love watching what you guys do as well, man. Appreciate it.
Someone that's had, I mean, golly, so much influence on the culture. So much influence, all of our lives, man. Do you have any
I don't know all about that, but
you don't think so? I know for sure. You know how I know you've had a lot of influence on my life?
How's that?
A homeboy of mine. Okay, he was working at Dillard's down in Baton Rouge. We had to go to Southern's homecoming. This is 1998. We had to go to Dillard's, Southern's homecoming. Didn't have nothing to wear. We go to my homeboy. He knows who he is. I'm not gonna mention his name. I'm like, yo, I need the Fubu sweater I saw Mystical with in the video. That's what I need. And he was like, come on down here and get it. He sold it to me. He sold me the Fubu sweater for $6.
$6?
Yeah. Because he was working behind the register.
Oh, I got it.
So he sold us all of this Fubu stuff for cheap. About a week later, he calls us up and he goes, once I let y'all to know, right now I'm in parish prison. They arrested him and he paid off the restitution for the rest of the time he was in college, and your brand did that for him. Give it up for Daymond John, everybody.
All right.
Got my homie locked up.
I guess.
No, man, but seriously, one of the earliest brands I can remember that was sort of run by young entrepreneurial, up-and-coming young black males was you guys' brand. It exploded, and it was everywhere, and it was stuff that you had to have.
Man, well, I was inspired by Kanai.
I see Carl Kanai that I'm wearing right now?
I see you representing Kanai. He's the one that inspired me.
He inspired you, and then you guys got into it. I know I don't want to do a whole career retrospective because everybody knows like a lot about you, but kind of explain to me the climate, sort of what it was like for you early on in those early days, trying to get something started, trying to get your foot in the door, and how you were able to persevere and succeed.
Well, at that time, a lot of brands were just ignoring the hip hop market. I mean, the hip hop market was people that they felt just had to buy one of their brands regardless, and they didn't want to whether acknowledge them or even market towards anybody in hip hop. And then Cross Colors first, West Coast company popped, and they, you started seeing it everywhere, and you started seeing
Crisscross, all those kids like that.
Yeah, Crisscross had it on. Everybody had it on.
Different World was on. Yeah,
everybody, and it was kind of like that statement of, I want to empower myself. But they were a company that really, took the concept of how. We used to wear kente cloth, and they put it basically in denim, so you'd have all the kente cloth colors, yellow, red, green, whatever the case is. And then Carl Kanai came out, and I kept going. I like Carl Kanai because he definitely had changed it, but I was like, why do we have to always have kente cloth colors? Why can't we just have a pair of jeans, whatever the case may be, and just be fly with it. So we started to really make the clothes, at home and sell them on the streets, and it slowly started to take off. And then rumor is that Cross Colors did about $100 million 1 year of sales. And they went bankrupt the year afterwards because they had sold all their clothes in a retail called Merry-Go-Round, and Merry-Go-Round went out of business. So they basically had all their eggs in one basket at the time, and it left a huge void where all these big brands were looking to invest in smaller brands or distribute, give them distribution. And so I started Fubu in '89, and I closed it 3 times from '89 to '92 because I kept running out of capital to put into the business. But around '92. My friends and I just, all moved into my house. We turned my house into a factory. And around 96, around 95, 96 is when people started really seeing me on a major level in stores.
Yeah. I was clowned. Like, LL Cool J did the Fubu commercial, iconic, right? Did the Gap commercial, iconic. And when LL did the Gap commercial, I'm sitting there with one of my brothers, and I'm like, yo, man, this is it. Hip-hop is dead. And he's like, what? I'm like, LL Cool J is doing the Gap commercial. And he's like, my brother looked at me, he's older than me. He goes, see, you little niggas don't know nothing. I was like, why? It's like, look at his hat. And I'm like, what's that? I had never heard of y'all. I didn't know who you guys were yet. He's like, look at his hat. That hat, that's a Fubu hat he's wearing. Did you hear what he spit? He said, for us, by us, on the low.
Yeah.
So he was like, LL he's messaging right now. He's doing his thing. He's putting that brand, he's using the Gap conglomerate to put this brand on.
Yeah,
like
crazy.
What was that the plan?
No. Listen, L went in there and he felt insulted at the way the Gap was kind of talking to him or treating him about, doing the commercial. He felt like they were trying to basically exploit hip hop. They were riding the bandwagon of what they thought was hot at the moment. And he did it on his own. When I saw that commercial, I couldn't believe it. It took them about 2 weeks to pull all the commercials and realize what had happened to them.
Wait, they pulled the commercials?
Yeah, they pulled it about 2 weeks in. After they aired about $30 million worth of them.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I saw the commercial on television. I never realized that they had actually taken them off television.
They took them off. However, when they checked the analytics, they realized the target market they were trying to hit increased 300% because the kids thought they can get Fubu with the Gap. So then about 2 months later, they would re-air the commercials.
Oh, I see.
And so that's probably when you saw the run.
Because at that point, like, we had a store back in Baton Rouge called Demo. And Demo...
Very good client. Very good.
Demo was the place. I remember I was a chubby kid, and I had gone in there in 8th grade to get, the Carl Kanai joint. And I remember I got a Carl Kanai vest, and I was asking the lady, I was like, okay, so what else do I get? Like, do I get a shirt to put under it? She's like, no, you don't wear a shirt under it. Like, it's just the vest. You just wear the vest and then your arms and the shit is out. And I was thinking, there's no way I'm going into 8th grade with my titties showing. So why don't you give me something to wear underneath it?
Right.
And so I put something underneath it. And then after that was my first experience at Demo. I would go back to Demo. Demo is where you would have all the stuff until later on. It didn't even dawn on me that I started seeing Fubu in places like Dillard's, where my homeboy worked. How did your brand expand past it being in places where you had to go to get urban clothing to being in those big department stores like that?
Well, that's the bottom line is the consumer dictates at the end of the day, because when I first came out, the Dillards of the world wouldn't support my brand because they said, first of all, there's 4 black guys on a hang tag, so you're definitely a gang, right? So they thought we were a gang. Then they said, well, we don't want those type of people in our stores because
type of people,
they're gonna have shootouts and start shoplifting, like you and I are gonna have a shootout over a pair of jeans.
Right.
Literally, they said that. But the Demos of the world and all the small entrepreneurs, the specialty stores, they would buy it. They run out of goods. They're calling you right away. They're putting it on their credit cards to buy some more. Right. They would tell you when you walked in the store, yo, you need to buy this and that. So what happened was those Dillards and the Macy's of the world, when they turned around 2 years later and they saw that person had 1 store, now had 9 stores, they were like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
We losing out here.
Right.
And then, and then the kids were asking, for stuff in the store. So it took them about 2 years to come around after we really got it popping with the smaller stores.
What was the moment in your life when you went, fuck, I'm rich? Was there a point, because I'm still waiting for that, so was there a point when you went, man, this worked? Like I'm here, I'm wealthy.
Well, it was my 30th birthday because I had bought I remember buying the first R9. Well, I bought a Bentley, and I had my house and everything. And I remember that I didn't want. I purchased my car, but I had a bow on it, and I had them not deliver it for 2 months because I wanted it on my birthday. And I realized, wait a minute. It was 3 years ago when I didn't have a car.
You didn't have a car, and now you're delaying.
This is like my 6th car, and now at the time, and I got it enough to have them,
deliver
when I want it.
Right.
That was when I said, wow, But however, I would go ahead and I would blow $10 million not on cars, but I didn't understand. I didn't have financial intelligence at the time, and I didn't realize, you put into the market, the market is high. Of course, the market's going to take 2 steps back and crash or go or sometimes have a challenge. And I got so scared, I would put in money, take it out, put it in high, take it out low. Buy the extra 2 and 3 homes and not think about how I have to furnish them and the real estate taxes on them and not take depreciation on them. So I would turn around and be out of $10 million and go, wait a minute, maybe I'm not as wealthy as I think. Because if I keep up this way of spending or not having financial intelligence, it's not going to last forever.
Yeah, financial intelligence is something that when we talk about all of the problems that are that beset the black community.
Yeah.
One that we never really talk about is financial intelligence.
Yeah.
And this is something that I learned the hard way working here. You know, a lot of my obviously you walked in the newsroom, you see that everybody out there is white. And so when I would look around when I got to TMZ, when I started to make a little bit more money here, my salary increased a little bit, I would get into conversations with other people around my same deal, and I would realize that they had a lot more going on financially than I did.
Mm-hmm.
They were a lot more diverse. They had little like rent house properties. They owned little stuff. There was all kinds of things that they were doing, and I didn't have none of that.
Right.
I was renting an apartment, and I had a Honda Accord.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So why do you think as a community we haven't been able to make better strides in understanding the way money works?
I think that first of all, we didn't have generational wealth, so the knowledge wasn't necessarily passed down from our grandparents to our parents to us. So a lot of that is generational wealth. Also,
that's how you learn what to do.
That's how you learn what to do. Why your parents and my great grandmother was a slave. And my grandmother just, cleaned homes and, washed people's toilet bowls. And my mother started to have a little bit of financial intelligence, and then I have now. That's probably the main reason why, So, and we also, we're in the culture where, we wear our wealth on our sleeve, and that's the way that we try to find our identity and or respect. And in the advertising world, we're called shoes. We're called super heavy users. As soon as the dollar comes in, it goes out. And we are called shoes for that reason.
So now that we're getting to a point to where we have, I guess, it seems to me now, and this could just be the way it seems, and I'm not basing this on any data, that we have more black billionaires than we've had before, where there seems to be some sort of, economic change, at least at the top. You're being able to see people that have a lot of money to spend and things like that. How do we what needs to happen for black people, for the culture, for not even black people, for even just poor people, or lower middle class people to become more financially literate?
Yeah, and I think you bring up a good point. It's not just a black thing, because if you look at lotto winners who come into a massive amount of money, due to winning the lotto,
they act the same way.
60 to 70% of them are bankrupt 3 years after that. Right, so this is a financial intelligence conversation, and it needs to be taught at a very young age. It needs to be taught in grade school, not high school, grade school. Because think about this, if you're not taught about financial intelligence and how interest works and how interest can affect you, or compounding interest and compounding numbers, and you're not taught that, all of a sudden you're able to get $200,000 in student loans at 18 years old and credit cards at that time. What are you going to do at that time if you don't know how to utilize this instrument? Yeah. So it really is teaching financial intelligence at a very young age.
And how do you do that? What do you like?
There's curriculum. I mean, it should be done in school. Tell you the truth.
Okay.
And, I don't know how much I need to go to a woodworking shop, but I definitely know that financial intelligence is something that should be taught.
Right.
Right. So that needs to be done in school. And of course, if you can't leave it up to the government to do these things, you have to be a parent to do these things. But if you don't have financial intelligence yourself, how are you gonna implement this within kids?
Yeah. I always wondered this. I want to be rich. Everybody wants to be rich. Everybody wants to have all of these things and have all of these goals. If someone asks you just a very basic question, Daymond John, you're a rich guy, right? Someone asks you a very basic question, how do I become rich? What would be your answer?
Well, it'd be a hard answer to give them, because I don't want to give them the old nice warm and fuzzy thing with do what you love. But in the reality of it, it is do what you love and keep educating yourself on how to do that. Don't quit your day job. Keep putting in a lot of time on what you love, what you would do for free. Because I would dress people for free the rest of my life. I love clothes. Oh, okay. And do what you love, and you will find ways to make money if you educate yourself on that business of what you love to do. And I don't know what it could be. I mean, it could be sitting here talking,
Right.
You chop it up, and before you know it, you're a big broadcaster.
Yeah.
But you got to do something you're absolutely obsessed with.
Right. It's funny because you said that, don't quit your day job. I had another Daymond in here, Daymond Dash. And shout out to Dash, man. Dash, I'm not quitting TMZ. just yet. Dash is begging me to quit my day job.
Why?
What he says is that the only way to truly be a boss and get money and do your thing is to not have a day job, be able to put all of your passion into, all of your energy into your passion, not take time away, not hustle for a weekend, and just however you got to get it, but put all of that energy into yourself.
Yeah, I disagree. I couldn't disagree more. Because I'll give you an example. I worked at Red Lobster for 5 years while I did Fubu. I was making $30,000 a year. That's not a lot when you're living in New York City. I was renting out my house to all my friends, so it was like an Airbnb at the time, and this was back in, 89, 90, 91. I was, and I would go to Red Lobster, start working at about 11 to get for the lunch shift. I would leave at about 9 or 10. Then I would sew hats from 10 till 2, and then I'd get back up at about 6 and deliver the hats, and then get back to the office, get back to Red Lobster. And I did that for 5 years straight.
Right.
5 years straight, no days off. Now, think about it like this. I was making $30,000 a year. That means that in 5 years, I had $150,000 worth of salary over the course of the time. I was taking home the food. I was,
cheddar biscuits.
Yeah, all day.
Living on them.
I was using all the girls that I was banging in Red Lobster to help me, go to the flea markets and stuff like that.
Word.
I had medical. I had insurance. And I would have had to do $2 million of business in Fubu to come up with the same $150,000, and I wouldn't have done that. So I would have lost my house. I'd have lost everything. I just had to grind it out, and the 20% time I was putting into Fubu turned into 30%. 40%, and then I felt comfortable enough to take the leap because I had already had 5 years experience and I had a home to live in. So I can't agree upon that.
Do you see at all what he's trying? I think what he's trying to talk about is the entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah, he's trying to say go hard or go home and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, reality is you may have a family, you may need medical. And if you lose your family during the course of the time of running the business, what does the business matter?
Yeah.
So I just don't agree upon that.
Yeah. So, something that I'm interested in, is you talked about sort of the way advertisers look at black people or look at I guess people from middle class or lower middle class incomes. Black people seem to be, our community seems to be in the culture obsessed with brands. Yeah, brands matter a lot, right? Sure. And I'm not gonna say I'm immune to that. Right now we're seeing something with Nike. Nike is now because of what they did with Colin Kaepernick. Nike is sort of the talk of the culture. Yeah. Everyone's wearing Nike. Everyone is sort of proud to wear Nike. Nike is a symbol of freedom. Sure. Do you think, in your opinion, knowing branding, having worked with brands, huge brands, having started a huge brand, do you think that putting sort of cultural or social capital into a brand like that from a black perspective is smart? Do you think that people that are doing that, do you think that's a good thing to do, looking at Nike as a heroic institution other than something that wants to sell you shoes and hats and clothes? First of all, what do you think about what Nike did with Colin Kaepernick?
I think what Nike did was brilliant. I think that it was very calculated but very smart, and they could have waited 5 years, 10 years till his situation was over or he was put on a pedestal to secure their bet, but they also took a chance. But your other question is, do you think using these social causes in that sense are beneficial or
not beneficial? What I'm asking is, are black people doing too much right now in sort of, or is the culture, should I say, not just black people, doing too much right now in sort of the worship of Nike that's happening right now?
No, I don't think so. I think that...
Because that's a conversation that people are having right now. Like, how altruistic can a corporation be?
Yeah, I think that it's a good moment. It's a proud moment, and that we can be. Listen, we'll go out there and talk about every other brand like if they're God and they won't support. Right. So I think that is absolutely amazing what Nike did, and that African Americans and people who believe in freedom and right of speech and justice, they tip their hats to them. It's okay.
It's a good moment. Okay, cool. I like hearing that from you because we've been having that conversation about, what does it really mean? Like, obviously, if they crunch the numbers and it didn't work out for them financially, do you think they would have still done it? So if Nike,
yeah, you know why? Because they did take a risk. Listen.
You think that Nike, if Nike had crunched the numbers and they said, listen, this is going to hurt our stock, this is going to hurt us, you think they'd have still done it?
They don't know if they can crunch the numbers because we're talking about an emotional purchase, right? Mm-hmm. And you don't have to think about whether the kid's going to buy it, but how do you know if the head person at Foot Locker didn't agree upon what they were going to do, and then they don't want to take in anything Nike, or they cut their spend on Nike. Right. So this is not only at the counter side. This is only what about their shareholders or the board members? Yeah. Right. I can't say that everybody in their organization and or the purchasers of the product, meaning the corporations who purchase the product, would agree. Yeah. I can't. Isn't Nike a big supporter of the NFL?
Huge,
right? So we don't know what would have happened. So they did take a risk. They didn't have to take that risk. I mean, there's a million athletes that could support it
for sure. So yeah, for sure. I mean, listen, see, this is why you have conversations with guys like Daymond John, because I don't really know nothing that he just said.
Yes, you do.
You know what I'm saying? Like I understand it, but when I think of it, it's the reason why like Shark Tank is always so fascinating for me to watch is because somebody comes in there in Shark Tank, right? And they present a product. And I'm like, yo, fucking Thomas Edison just walked into the room. That's the greatest shit I ever heard of in my life. And Daymond and them sit back and they go, have you thought about all the problems that you're going to have on the supply side, especially in the third quarter of the macroeconomic year I'm out? And I'm like, yo, you don't want this product? How could you not want this?
Listen, that happens to me too sometimes. Sometimes I'm in Shark Tank and I'm like, it's almost like double just, I'm about to get in. Oh, I'm about to get it. And then Robert will say something so crazy that I'll go, oh yeah. Oh, and for that reason, I'm out. Right? So don't give me, it happens, right? It's a learning process on all levels,
So what to you, because I'm sure everybody wants to work with you right now, what to you denotes a business that's solid enough for you to invest in? What attracts you? Like, what do you say, I like something like this, just an overall archetype?
It's they have a proof of concept. Have they sold anything to anybody, and do they know their numbers? Meaning that they don't have to sell $1 million worth of stuff, but they said, listen, I did a small test in Queens, and I know that my customer is 18 to 35-year-old female, and her average spend is $9.99. And every time I put out an ad on Facebook for $100, I get back $300. They really know their numbers, and they can replicate this product. And they may not be making a lot of money. They may go, so if I get over 1,000 or 10,000 or 50,000 units, I can bring down the cost, and all the things seem right, and they seem like they know where their customer is, and now they need to keep up with the orders, but they don't want to turn the faucet on yet because they don't have the backing. And then it's also got to be somebody who's failed a bunch of times in the past.
Failure is important. Talk about that. Why?
They have that because they first of all know what road they shouldn't go down anymore. They still have the passion and the grit for it, so there's a reason why it's going to work out no matter what. And you want a partner who's not going to quit, because if that business doesn't work out, then we'll do another business together. They're problem solvers, and that tends to be the people that I like.
So it's weird because the way when the layperson or the non sort of mogul is watching Shark Tank, you know what we're focused on? The idea. Yeah. We're focused on the invention. We're focused on like, yo, I just made a cool way to take a wig off in 4.5 nanoseconds. Right. I just made it like, look at this. I can put these clip-ins in and you can't even see them, and then they dissolve and they become part of my hair. And we see stuff like that. We go, yo, well, like fucking, why wouldn't Mark Cuban, Mr. Wonderful, and Daymond John want that? Like, what the fuck is going on with these guys? Right. So for you, the numbers actually matter. How much do the numbers matter in terms of, I guess juxtaposed to the actual idea and concept itself?
The numbers matter more than anything else, because if you came up with that idea with that wig, if you didn't sell it, how are you going to educate people that exists? Are you going to you need $1 million for commercials? But if you sold it, somehow you got to people, and somehow you understand why they're going to buy it, and they're going to buy it at that price. The wig remover may cost $100, and people don't want that because it costs too much, and you had to put too much into it, or it can cost $4. But where are you going to buy it? You're going to buy it in what's your distribution chain like? You're going to buy it in stores. It's going to be direct to customers. You're going to sell it at kiosk, or you're going to attach it to wigs,
right?
And upsell the current customer who's buying a wig. Yeah,
what's crazy is the wig product. You're probably gonna be able to buy that in the same place where you could get like 10 chicken wings for $1.99. You're probably gonna walk in there into a place where you can get 10 chicken wings for $1.99, and then also the wig product.
Yeah,
we know what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
Y'all been to the hood. So Fubu was the hottest thing in the world at one point. Then it wasn't.
Right.
First of all, before I even get into when you realize, what was that like? Did you see it slowing down?
Yeah, 100%. We saw it slowing down, and then we would go out and we would acquire other brands. I acquired Kappa. I brought Kappa here, and that didn't work. We brought Ted Baker here, and we gave that back. That didn't work, and then I would end up buying Coogee, the brand Coogee.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we bought Coogee. And
I never knew that. Shout out to Big.
Yeah. So that's why I went from sweaters, and then when we bought it out of bankruptcy, then you sort of started seeing the jeans and the sneakers and all that stuff we have. But we saw it coming because, well, if you really look at your history, a hot fashion brand lasts 5 to 7 years, and then then it may come back, but most likely it's not. Now I know there's the unicorns, and I tip my hat to Louis Vuitton and Nike.
I was just about to ask you about that.
And the ones that can stay around. You know what I mean? They have, but those are the Michael Jordans of the game, right?
But do you ever think there'll be brands like that within our culture? Because it seems like we support Louis Vuitton and Burberry and Fendi and Chanel and all of these people like that, and we keep those brands. Louis Vuitton has been around for like 150 years or something like that, right? We keep all of those brands hot. That seems like to be aspirational to us. Will the culture ever have a prestige brand like those?
I don't know. I think it absolutely can happen, but we have turned away from those brands too. I mean, it's not like we just stay with those brands. I mean, let's look at what was hot when we were coming up. Benetton. I don't know where Benetton is anymore.
Yeah.
La Tigre or Izod has made somewhat of a comeback. You know what I mean? So we hop on and off brands, but if you look at the cycle of a brand, if you were wearing Fubu all through high school, you don't want to wear it in college. Right. That was what I was wearing in high school. If you got 5 years of Fubu and you was over Fubuing yourself, you got a closet full of stuff. Then you're like, you know what? Let me change up a little bit.
I know what I changed to too.
What did you change to?
I went to Sean John.
Sean John. There you go. Right. So it's an evolution of brands, and then from the business side as well, we hurt ourselves and this is how I've learned from failure. We hurt ourselves in the business side because we would not have a calculated buy. We would go and buy $200 million, $300 million worth of product because we know that we were going to get $200, $300 million worth of orders. When you start slowing down, and when you're buying $300 million worth of product a year, broken sizes, color. You decided to do fuchsia. It wasn't hot, and so the inventory starts to add up over 5 and 10 years. And you turn around, you got $50 million worth of product in your warehouse. Wow. So now you need to offload it. You sell it to Burlington and all those places. So now you're going.
Is that how they get those clothes?
Of course, you offload these clothes to Burlington, to TJ Maxx, and all those places like that. You actually make for those companies too, because Ralph Lauren probably does more business in TJ Maxx than he does anyplace else. But if I'm offloading a pair of jeans that I've had now for 3 years, they're on. If you're finding my jeans in TJ Maxx at $20, well then when you go to Macy's and it's $80, you're gonna go, why the hell am I buying it here? So then the brand starts to collapse, and that's how brands start to collapse. It's called over inventory.
Was there a moment to where you were like, first of all, do you remember a specific year or a specific time period where you were like, it's kind of coming to an end as far as Fubu?
2003 2004, it started to slow down. I mean, we still exist, but it started to slow down, and then we started to concentrate on more on our international business. But 2001, people obviously because of 9/11, there was a hard retail dip. Everybody started nesting and staying home, and they weren't trying to mess with anything else. So it started to come back a little bit 2002, 2003. But at that time, we were also pushing Coogee up, so Coogee started to grow, and then 2008 came, and nobody was selling anything, no matter what you had. So so that was the cycles.
So what happened? How did Daymond John reinvent himself? I mean, not even reinvent himself. Like, how did you go? Because when I told people that Daymond John, shout out to Chauncey, by the way, when I told people that Daymond John was coming on the podcast, everybody was excited.
Nice. Thank you.
Everyone was excited. My mother told me to tell you that she's figured out a way to take her curling iron. And are you laughing at my mama's invention, Austin? My mother has figured out a way so the curling iron will never burn another black woman, and you laughed at that. So you want to see us sisters walking around with scabs on their heads and on their necks and shit like that? My mom is trying to shoot her shot with Daymond John over here, and you sitting over there laughing, bruh. Not bad enough that you... Well, anyway. You're laughing at my mom's invention. I'll show you the schematics later on, bro. She wants... But here's the thing about mom, though. She wants $1 million straight up. She hasn't sold shit. She wants... She needs $1 million.
She sound like my mom. So.
Yeah, exactly. She needs... I told her, I was like, Mom, why don't you get out there and sell it? He said, I don't need to sell it. It's $1 million idea. Tell him to give me $1 million. I'll make him $1 billion. I'm like, that's how that works. I love it. But... I guess what I'm saying was like, how did you go from sort of the guy who put together Fubu, like one of the biggest brands in the culture, biggest brands period, to being on Shark Tank and being someone who people look at as a financial and marketing and sort of product guru?
Well, I never thought Shark Tank would work, and I didn't have that in my...
You never thought it would work, straight up?
Straight up. I never thought it would work. Who wants to see 4 or 5 businessmen, just women and men, talk about crap all day? But, you got... I always say you get Mark Burnett in there, and he puts a little bit of music to it, and he cuts to a commercial right before we're about to crack somebody in the head. Yeah. Then all of a sudden you got something here. But I was going back into doing something I love. I was starting to, do a little bit of public speaking and writing books because I wanted people to know that if me, somebody who doesn't have a talent for, a musical talent or sports or anything else like that, if I can make it, anybody could. And I started writing these books and started to educate people. I think I was on either Donnie Deutsch, The Big Idea, or whatever cases, because I started doing a whole bunch of interviews, and Shark Tank called. And when Shark Tank called, I said, all right, well, if I'm going to do it, my own contingency was I get to speak to Mark Burnett and pitch him some show ideas. I said, because I don't want to do the show. But it was '08, and, I had 10 clothing brands, and 8 of them were dead because of the, recession we were going through. And I figured, all right, if I go on the show, maybe I'll be able to get some more real estate at department store. Maybe I could buy something that's a lotion company or electronic company. I can use my distribution abilities to get more real estate. Yeah. All of a sudden, I go on the show, and I find out that this show is not about, getting deals. It's about the American dream, and that I was gifted this opportunity to go on there because now all of a sudden, I'm learning from the kids who are coming up on the show and how they're doing business. I'm applying that to my business. Now the show is a big commercial for somebody, so anybody I invest in, I know their stuff is more than likely going to get a good pop, and we can make my money. I can make my money back. And American families are now saying, I can come home and watch something with my kids, or I can have a conversation with my family about this stuff, and I just find out it's something bigger, and I then kept reinvesting into the wanting to educate people.
Have you made like a shit ton of money off any of the businesses you've been involved with in Shark Tank?
Yeah, a couple. I have. I've lost money too. Yeah,
that's the thing. You know what's crazy is like when we watch Shark Tank. You know why Shark Tank works? It's because Shark Tank is uniquely American, being that there's an ideal in America that the race to American happiness is about gatekeepers versus insurgents, right? Upstarts versus royalty. And when that person walks into that room in Shark Tank, I am them. I want to see them. First of all, I want to see y'all fight over how good their shit is, right? Because I want to believe that I am them. Right. You guys are up there, a bunch of kings and queens, holding sort of riches and all different types of situations in your hands, and all you gotta do is break it off. And this person has to make you give them a piece of the American dream. Whoever conceptualized the show, it was a winner in the room, in the pitch room, because there's never been someone that's been on Shark Tank that I haven't wanted to walk out of there with. And there have been some people that have walked out of there.
You're not out there saying to some of the people, yo, you're killing yourself.
Sometimes they fuck up.
Right.
Sometimes people go in there and they go too much. But then anytime somebody holds out for more money and they walk away, I immediately Google them. If you hold out for more money and you go, I can't take the deal, I immediately Google them, because I say, I want this person to be richer than every motherfucker up there immediately, because they weren't willing to sell, but normally you never hear from them again.
No, well, I mean, the guy that did do that,
Ring.
He's a shark now. He's on the show.
See?
$1.1 billion he sold it for.
He shouldn't have gone on there. He should have started his own shark. He should have started Dolphin Tank. Something like that. Yeah, I turned him down. Do you regret not doing the Ring situation?
No, and he even said it. He said he was asking too much at the time. He said he didn't know what he didn't know.
So you tell me right now, if you had the Gray Sports Almanac, Back to the Future Part 2 situation, and you could go back in time. If Doc Brown walked in here right now and said, hey, Daymond, let's go back in time. You fucking fly. You wouldn't go back in time and redo the Ring deal?
What, are you crazy? Of course I would.
I did, man.
But I just said, do I regret it? I didn't have that book.
Right.
If I had that book, I had a lot of things I would have done.
It's true. So, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. Okay. LSU beat Auburn this past weekend. It was a big victory that made me talk to some of my friends from back in Baton Rouge. I was talking to him. He runs a small business in Baton Rouge. And he said something to me. He said, he's a friend of mine. I've known the guy since I was 12 years old. He's a white dude. And he said he's a part of some business association in Baton Rouge, and he looked around in the business association. He's like, there are no other black people. There are no black people in this business association. He raised it in a meeting, and immediately the people that were in the meeting with him started acting a little crazy with him. Like, why are you bringing this up? Who do you think this are? He just goes, I just think it's weird that we're here doing all of this stuff, and there's no other black guys, no black businesses, no black whatever that's involved in this. And he said something to me. He said, for the first time in my life, I realized how much harder it is for a black man to get rich, or a black woman to get rich, a black person to get rich in America, other than the white people, because of little small advantages I never even realized that was happening.
Right.
Do you think that is, how much harder, should I say? Let's say that's foregone conclusion that it's harder. I'm not sure if you think it's harder or not, but let's say this how much harder is it for a black man to get rich in America than it is for a white man to get rich?
I don't know. How do we judge harder? What's the scale? You know what I mean? I think it's very, very hard. Is it harder? It is because
harder for a black man to get rich.
Oh, of course it is for a black man or black woman. I think. Listen, it could be my own opinion on how. I'm not sure, but if we just look at the stats, it's clearly a challenge, right? Again, generational wealth. It starts there, and if generational wealth is not there, and then if the education system is not there, and if you put in guns and liquor into the community, and it's all available there, and the community is not governed, then you start off already at a disadvantage. Right. You know what I mean? So yeah, of course it's much harder, 100% much harder.
If there was one thing that you could see that you could change, that you think could even the playing field, what would that thing be to you?
I don't know.
Having done it.
I don't know one thing that could be, well, you don't want charity, because charity has never proven to go ahead.
Doesn't work.
Charity hasn't ever given.
Only systems work.
Yeah, system. I think it would be some form of mentorship through that could be given. That could be not given. That allowing kids, any minorities or anybody that doesn't have resources to be around much smarter people, and not, and not be overwhelmed by, thinking that music and this and that. So I love the sports thing. It keeps kids healthy, but you have to also, the mind has to be educated as well. And mentors are the only ones who could do that.
How much free clothes did you guys give out at the height of Fubu? Free promo clothes.
Free promo clothes. We were giving out about 4 million. Was it 30? No, I'm sorry. It was $20 million worth of clothes a year.
You were giving away $20 million worth of clothes a year.
I believe it was that.
Do you remember any specific act or artist that wanted the most Fubu?
No, they all wanted it at the time. They all wanted it at the time, and $20
million a year of free stuff.
Yeah.
Was it worth it? Were you getting back?
Absolutely, because that's when you saw it everywhere, every single place. And we stopped giving out that amount because we realized what they would do is they would just all their friends would take it.
That's true.
You know, so we were like, all right, well, why are we sending him, $10,000 worth of clothes? Why don't you just send him 500?
Right, and then it's just for him.
Yeah.
So was the LL Cool J thing the moment that you realized the brand had kind of crossed over and it was going to be a big deal? Or did it come before then?
No, it was way after then.
Way after?
Yeah, I think I always had a healthy paranoia, and I always knew that fashion comes and goes, and I just, it was after we started to build out the stores and we were growing in the business, we started to get licensing, meaning we were doing men's, but now we had ladies, boots, bags, and it was more appealing to the whole family could buy stuff. That's when we started to realize, all right, we have something, but don't get too comfortable.
Were you single at this time that this was all popular?
No, I wasn't. I was married.
Oh, you were married?
Yeah, no.
I was married. Damn. You fucked up, dog. I'm not even gonna lie.
Why's that?
Cause, bro. I mean, that's good for you. Shout out to your lady and, the marriage, I'm glad that you were able to, find happiness and, all of that.
But what are you saying?
I'm trying to say is if I was the king of urban streetwear culture in the era of the video vixen.
Yeah, no. So
it might have been nice.
So I got divorced and then I started beating. I was beating. A lot of them that may be on TV, I was beating. My cup was runneth over.
All right.
Beating.
I would expect that, man. Was it shit? I was not expecting you to say that. Was it just it was crazy though?
It was crazy.
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 Like the Wild Wild West out there, man.
It was fantastic.
It's video vixens. I bet it was, but damn.
Yeah,
it's not even like that anymore, man. Now it's like about Instagram and all of that stuff like that.
Nah, there was no Instagram. I couldn't get in trouble. I was beaten. Beaten.
Well, did you ever go too far?
Yeah. Woo! I remember those times, brother. Lord have mercy.
Yeah. Any of the usual suspects that we've heard about in these rap songs and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's
been
some. I know.
Beating.
I know, beating. That's crazy. Listen, I'm glad because I was about to be really sad for you. I was about to be like, he built Fubu and this entire time he couldn't do it. But nah, you got it popping.
I was getting it in.
Yeah. I'm glad, but that really did my soul well. What was your best city? What was the from in the era that you were sitting on the throne, especially what was the best city for action?
For action?
Yeah, the best city for beating.
Mm-hmm. Well, Houston was fantastic.
Houston,
because you had a mixture of the Latinos and the sisters.
Thick. See, y'all from New York, I can't really handle it.
Atlanta, chocolate was crazy. L.A., you get the little snowflakes, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, a little precipitation.
Yeah.
A little bit bare.
Don't sleep. Toronto, though. Ooh,
I keep hearing about Toronto.
Fantastic.
I keep hearing about Toronto.
Toronto was it, but nothing did my heart nearer and dearer than Miami.
I was about to say, I gotta hear Miami.
Miami.
I gotta hear Miami. You ever miss them days, bro?
Nah, I'm married now. I don't miss those days at all.
You got it out of your system. All right, so that's dope though. I'm glad because to be honest with you, you guys were rock stars too, man.
Yeah, we had a good time.
Yeah, you guys were rock stars too. Did you ever have any issues with celebrities and Fubu and getting them product or just any back and forth? Like what's the craziest celebrity story from the Fubu era that you can remember?
I don't want to throw anybody out there, but I don't think we were we had a nice crew. You know, me and my 4 partners. We were known in the business as just being the dudes. You know, and we didn't have no beef records. We weren't. You know,
nobody was popping shit.
Yeah, you come over, you get close.
Yeah,
you know, we were the candy man. You know what I mean? So we never really had. We had a good time.
Any brands that you see now out there that kind of remind you of like where you guys were?
I don't really know. I'm not that familiar with the younger brands as much as I should be at the moment. So I can't say.
Can't really say not too many
that I'm thinking about. I mean, I know Popular. I like I like what Crime by Design does. You know what I mean? But that's more art.
Crooks and Castles is good.
Crooks is nice. Yeah.
Crooks is nice. Is good. Mark Burnett, he had a fight. Did you hear about this?
I heard.
Tom Arnold.
Yeah.
A couple questions about this, because this is crazy shit to me. So apparently Mark Burnett's some kind of Navy SEAL or some shit like
Special Forces.
So wouldn't he just beat the piss out of Tom Arnold then?
He would. Mark is very. First of all, he still does compete in the Iron Man as well.
So he's in great shape.
So he's in great shape.
So you think that if they actually would have had a fight, then Mark Burnett probably would have kicked Tom Arnold's ass?
Yeah. Mark Burnett is a very religious person.
Yeah.
Very calm. He's classy, man. He's
classy
a classy guy. So I heard about the fight. I don't know any more about it. I heard Roma had a mark on her hand, his wife. So, you know, if a Special Forces Iron Man dude, if you touching his wife, I would assume that he's going to defend his wife.
Yeah.
But if he wanted to get in your ass,
he could get in your ass.
He'd get in your ass.
Well, do you think there's any truth to the fact that, like, excuse me, there are tapes of Donald Trump, like, saying the N-word, and, like, Mark Burnett won't let those tapes out? Because that's what Tom Arnold seems to think, that they're apprentice tapes.
Well, from what's out there now, Omarosa says that he said the word in front of her or around her. And so if he uses the word, and didn't he say something on there like, then the White House say something like, we can't confirm or deny?
Yeah, they punted.
They punted.
Yeah.
So listen, if he said it, he said it. If Mark Burnett has those tapes, it's not his business to put them out there. I mean, those guys were partners. You know what I mean? So, I mean, would I want to know? 100%.
Right.
But if you and I are partners and we've been partners, for, you know, on this thing for a long period of time, whether I disagree or agree with you, I vowed never to release our business.
That's kind of what that is.
That's what it is, you know?
Of all of the people that are on the Shark Tank, if you had to go into a business with somebody long term, if you had to start the next big thing, which one of the sharks would you take to build a business?
Well, so the factors need to be.
See what I'm saying? You're about to do macroeconomics again. See what I'm saying? I can't like he's so much smarter than me on these fucking things. like he was like, listen, it depends on what kind of business, which quarter we're in.
You already know the answers. To see that you're telling me that I'm smarter. You're saying exactly what I was going to say.
I don't know what I'm saying. I'm parroting back things that I heard on Shark Tank. All of that shit I heard on Shark Tank. Everything
if the playing field was even and we were all broke, and I had to choose one of them, it would be Barbara.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why Barbara?
Because all of us have the same drive. All of us have the same, we're never going to stop, right? And all of us have the same determination. But Barbara is a brilliant, brilliant marketer. She can think of things and just ways, and she's just brilliant. She just can pull shit out of her ass and really come up with some creative ways to get the product and the brand out.
So that to you is you talk a lot about sort of, I think you've talked a lot about marketing and your ability to market and your ability to sell. It seems like you put a premium on that in terms of having a successful product.
Yeah, product is king, of course, but if nobody knows about it, then what is it, right? And consumers today can buy anything they want from anybody.
Right. So
how are you going to distinguish that you got the better mousetrap, or this person desperately needs to buy this because it's going to do something for them?
What are we missing for all of us out there that want to invest in different things, that want to have product, that want to move things, and sort of like, what are we missing? What areas of where can we be? What are the vulnerable areas for people to get rich? If you were investing money, or if you were investing into product or building? Like, what are we not seeing that you successful guys see?
Well, how are you investing, first of all, in yourself to educate yourself? Because what people don't realize is that money can be a disadvantage to you because you're paying everybody else because you think they're going to do something that you couldn't do. Mm-hmm. And the people that you see are the wealthiest people are the ones that learn social media themselves, and they go out there and they stand on the street and sell something, and then they go and learn coding and try to build a site instead of going, well, I gave someone $5,000 for my website and I don't know what happened. Or I hired a salesperson, they're telling me that I needed to make it purple instead of black. No, you should have got your ass out there and sell so you can find out why the person wasn't buying. Right? I hired a social media expert. Well, if you don't know the basics and the fundamentals of it, how do you know what the expert is doing? Right? So a lot of people, these old sayings, you got to invest in yourself, and that's what people need to do. So that's what people miss, because they come to the sharks all the time and go, I need your help. I need your money. I need your help. Well, what do you want me to help you do?
Right.
I need you to help me do this. Well, if I knew so goddamn much, then Fubu would be Nike. It's not. right. So what am I going to teach you that you can't learn right now? Now I can open up doors, and anybody in the world will take my call once. But you better come through with something that they can do, or they're not going to take my call either.
Right. So what's kind of broader question? You've done a lot of stuff. You're out here, you do talks, you do seminars, you write books.
Yeah.
What's your message to the world? What would be the one thing that Daymond John would want to convey to people that you don't think people absolutely believe or that they don't know, besides about money?
Well, that you can do anything you want to do if you really, really go out there and learn, and you have a strong rejection muscle, and that you educate yourself and surround yourself with like-minded people. Because, like I said, I got left back in school. I wasn't born with any kind of wealth. I didn't know anybody. I didn't go to college, right? But by self-educating myself and then having mentors around and keeping like-minded people and failing and keep trying and failing, I got to this level in life, and that I know anybody can do this. And it doesn't mean that you have to do this to be wealthy, because a lot of people don't necessarily want wealth. If you want to start a small company or do something so you can work 6 months at home to be around your child,
to have more time and enjoy your life,
or you want to work out, you want to run up a mountain every day because your health is the most important thing to you, you want to go save the seals, whatever is your thing, or you want to give your time to charity, right, to stop human trafficking,
or you want to have enough money to where you can go from Houston to Miami to Atlanta to beating.
And I didn't always go there. I flew them in.
So
commercial.
Oh my God! They can't even coach. No extra leg room.
Nah.
So that's what you would say. You would say that to you, wealth is more about quality of life than it is about the size of your bank account.
100%.
Why is that message so hard to get people to believe?
Because until you have wealth, you don't understand what it is. And I love what Pitbull says. He says, "Why would I want a $1 billion company with $1 trillion headaches?" So until you have it, you don't realize. You think that it's going to get you things. Now, will money get you things? Absolutely. Gets you better resources for your family, puts you in a safer place to live. Food, better better things like that. And 100% people should strive to have that to get these things. But I don't want to be a billionaire. I don't need to be a billionaire. What am I going to do? How many houses am I going to sleep in? You know what I mean? Like, I'm still sleeping. I don't need it. Yeah. So when people realize that, and then I tend to see when people don't stress money, money comes. I didn't think Fubu was ever going to make it. I was just making hats. It was never done before on that level. I was just making hats, and I was hoping that I would have a corner store. I would have a store where my friends and I can sell our clothes at, and we were hoping that one day that would happen. But that one day,
when was the biggest year y'all ever had?
Well, we did about $375 million a year. But in my business, that's not big.
$375 million isn't big?
Nike does $35 billion annually.
That's crazy, man.
It's a lot.
That's crazy. Listen, y'all do me a favor. I made the white people clap at the beginning of the podcast, but now we're at the end of the podcast. And because I learned some things about Daymond John that I didn't think that I was going to know, specifically about the beating. Okay.
And let's make sure that they understand beating is not the physical beating.
Yo, if you listen to this podcast and you don't know what the fuck we talking about, get your little ass off the fucking thing and go talk to your parents and play some Roblox or watch Dora the Explorer. Obviously, we're not talking about the beating. We're talking about consensual sex. We have to say it's consensual sex between a man and in Daymond John's case, probably like a bunch of different women, like a whole goddamn Nelly video from what he was saying. Best strip club in America. Quickly, before we end.
Oh, Magic City.
Atlanta.
Yeah. Used to be. Well, the Gold Room in Atlanta.
Gold Room. But have you been to some of the new strip clubs? You ever been to Ace of Diamonds out here in LA?
No. I was at Sapphire Sundays, though, in New York.
Not bad.
It's all right.
We're going to get Daymond in trouble. Y'all give it up for Daymond John, everybody.
Thank you.
That was fantastic. Oh, plugs before you leave. Please plug something. Please plug things.
Shark Tank new season, October 7th. My digital curriculum is called Daymond on Demand. You can go to daymondondemand.com. It's 8 hours of teaching you all the fundamentals of being an entrepreneur and letting you.
Amazing.
Yeah, make sure that you can avoid those landmines that I ran into growing up and coming into the business. So, last book, Rise and Grind, and catch me on at the Shark Daymond on Instagram. What are you about to say? Oh yeah, I got motivational tracks. Somebody's starting to my people starting to score my speaking engagements, so people,
put a little music behind it.
Yeah, so we'll give you links if you want to pop up there. Yeah. Where else can they go? You guys will have the link, right? Yeah. So you can get motivated, get ready to go to.
Yeah, Daymond is being handled right now, you guys. He's got handlers with him. And they're letting him know what he should plug in order to make the money. So
no, well, I was sitting here just trying to give love, and then you said you was gracious enough to say plug some things. I didn't come here thinking about plugging things.
We gotta plug stuff.
All right, I appreciate it.
Give it up for Daymond John one more time.
Thank you.
That was fantastic.
Thank you.